I'll do them. I'll say, how would you react if Spurs were run by the Blazers?
Hi and good evening and welcome to the Cockeral Clock podcast here on THFC. Don't you start laughing. You're going to start me off in a minute, you sitting there in the corner, blondie. Right. Welcome to the Cockeral Clock podcast here on THFC Till I Die and also over on Full Time Sports Network for the first time ever as our partnership begins, Philip. A new era, a new, a new time for the channel as we grow, and we're hopefully going to grow as well with the full-time sports network.
Yeah,
And as
it's great.
well as that, tomorrow we do our first ever rugby watch along. So
Mm,
times are moving, exciting times ahead.
yes, I'm actually watching the rugby at the moment. Great game between France and New Zealand at the moment.
Yeah, who's
So
winning?
it's France 9-8. So New Zealand scored a try in the first 2 minutes, but since then France have 3 penalties, and New
I
Zealand the
do you know what?
penalties.
I'm surprised at that. I thought New Zealand might win that. If France win that, that would put New Zealand in a difficult
With the pressure, yeah, New
position.
Zealand aren't great at the minute. They're not the best. They're not as good as they used to be, but they're still a
No,
very formidable team. But
yeah,
some of the rugby now, it's a different class. It's brilliant.
mm, it is.
Anyway,
Well, anyway, welcome to the podcast. Of course, this will be going up on our Spotify channel straight after this. This is episode number 5. And Philip, we've done a little international podcast last week. We got over the transfer window. You're still wearing red. Do you know? I just think it's
yeah, I apologize for that.
I don't,
Normal resume tomorrow.
yeah.
As soon
Don't
as the
worry.
washing machine
Don't
works.
worry. The pink M&Ms will be left now in as a punishment for wearing red.
No, sorry, I moved on now. It's brown ones. I've changed over. It's brown ones I don't want now.
Fair enough. Anyway, let's see who's in the chat. There's one person, Philip.
Oh my
Woohoo!
God.
Yeah, I know. We get more than one, and it is Dragon D Nuts. He's first. He says,
Hi,
"G'day,
Dragon.
g'day, Dragon D Nuts. How you doing?" Usually we have a load of them in, and don't know what's happened to them today. Wandered all down the pub because it's hot.
No, do you know what I think it is? It's Premier League-itis.
Yeah,
There's no
that's what
Premier
it is.
League at the weekend, and nobody is really in the form for talking because it's only
No,
rugby and soccer and
yeah,
international matches that are on. So
anything's better.
normal
So
service will be resumed next Friday when the Premiership is back.
yeah. Well, let's crack on with it, Philip. The first item, because on the podcast today, is Alistair Gold reveals when Tottenham executive will start his work on his first official task is important. Now, this is Scott Munn, the Invisible Man. I mean, when was that announced? Last March?
Yeah, but like as far as I can gather, he's been working away in the background for the last 2 or 3 months, probably with a false beard or a moustache on or something, so nobody recognizes him. But he's certainly been there. I mean, he's been spotted out. He's spotted out in on the tour,
Mm,
and now officially he's going to start.
yeah,
So it's I know the first job he should be doing, and I think you've covered it in that particular thing there.
yeah.
But
Well, this was the article on Football London reported by Alistair Gold, of course, has confirmed that Tottenham's newly appointed chief football director, that's his title, Scott Munn, will start his work in the position later this month. This comes over 2 months after a club announced he was to take up the role, but things got delayed due to some problems with his former employer, the City Football Group. The journalist claims that Munn is essentially going to be number 2 to chairman Daniel Levy and would be in charge of all the football departments at the club, which includes the men's, the women's, the youth, the academy teams. The Australian executive is claimed to be in attendance at all the club's matches this season and in pre-season as an official guest of the club, having yet started his role as the C
CFO,
as
Chief
CFO.
Football Officer, yeah.
But Gold states that he will finally be able to start his work at the club after the international break to work above and alongside Postecoglou with his role to ensure that every single football side at the club is smoothly operated. Before we
Hmm.
get on to the second part of this article, Philip, the first thing that jumps out to my head is Daniel Levy now going to let the reins go on the football side of the club? By that statement, by that article, looks like he is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does. It looks that way. The proof of the pudding will be whether he actually does it,
Mm,
whether he tries to keep his finger in the pie a little bit. And I'm sure Scott Munn will be telling Daniel Levy on day one, Daniel, I came in here to do what you've been doing for the last while. You back off and do what you're good at. I'll do what I'm good at. Leave the football up to me. And hopefully that's the way it works.
mm.
Especially keep Daniel away from the transfer market.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, to be fair, he's done well this window, Philip.
Oh
You,
yeah, I'm not knocking this window. I'm just talking generally about prices for players and things like that. There's always that little why don't we go the extra mile? And while I'm totally against overpaying for a player, if the gap is only 2 or 3 million, I'd say go on, lads, do it. If it's 15 or 20, fair enough. And I think Scott Munn now, like, I haven't researched his history, but he obviously comes highly recommended in what he does. And I think there'll be a new professionalism brought to that side of the club now from next week on, hopefully. And we'll see the benefits.
Well, it was part of the Sydney Olympics, Philip. He was part of, I think, one team Postecoglou was manager at. So I think Postecoglou has worked with him before. So that, and he's also Australian. So there's a link there as well.
Aussie takeover. The Aussies are taking over.
Yeah. Now, after he officially takes up his role as Spurs chief football officer, Philip, the Australian will be put to work on filling some of the key roles at the management level. Gold adds that one of his first official tasks will be to appoint a new director of football who can assist Postecoglou and help with transfers in the upcoming transfer windows. The director of football role has been vacant at the club since the departure of Fabio Paratici, who was suspended by FIFA for being involved in alleged false accounting activities at Juventus. The Lily Whites are reportedly looking at former FC Barcelona director Matui Almeni to take up the role, but Mon will be responsible for making that decision when he takes over. Two questions out of here, Philip. Paritici's never really gone away. No. And the second question is, would you like to see an English football of director, or do you want a European football of director?
I'm not really bothered as long as he knows what he's doing and does a good job. Now, we did hear another name was mentioned there. We were talking about him earlier, Dermot, is the legendary Johan Cruyff's son, Jordi Cruyff.
Yes.
He did mention as a possible candidate for that job. Now, and Almani, I'm not too sure about him now. I don't really know much about him. But I think anybody with the name Cruyff would be welcome at Tottenham, in my opinion. And we'll wait and see what happens there. But I think, to get back to the question there, being English, I don't think really matters. I don't know, are there any suitable candidates there that are English?
Paul Mitchell?
No, he's been there, done that, got the T-shirt. We want someone new. We want someone that hasn't been at the club.
You wouldn't bring Paul Mitchell back?
No, I wouldn't, because when somebody leaves a job, right, there's obviously baggage or something happens to make them leave that job. And if they come back, chances are that old baggage is going to be resurrected. I want someone coming in there, a complete clean sweep, like we've done with Postecoglou and the training team, the training staff, except for Ryan Mason, obviously, to bring in a new guy that's got no prejudices, nothing about the club. He comes in and does his job from day one, and it's not say, I'll get eaten by that fella. I know what he said to me the last time I was here. It happens. It's human nature. So I prefer a complete clean sweep.
But Paul Mitchell left because of Daniel Levy, so I wouldn't think he'd come back anyway. No. But the thing is, look, what really gets me, Philip, the likes of Paratici, who should get a lot of credit for what he's done, but the likes of Steve Hitchen never got any ridiculing at all. Got let off.
He did on social media, and he did on these Spurs channels. He certainly did, But I mean, it doesn't do a club any good to wash their linen and dirty in public. What you do is you get rid of the guy, give him a payoff, and tell him to keep his mouth shut. And that's what happened with Hitchen, because there's been no feedback really from him at all. It doesn't do to wash your dirty linen in public. And although I must say he was probably the worst appointment we've made in recent years.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from Conte and the Garden Gnome, because I think look at what I don't think there's a player he bought still at the club. Now I could be wrong at that, but most of them have been moved on.
Do you really think Conte was a wrong decision? I'm surprised you said that, Philip. Do you think?
I do now. Yes, at the time we all thought he was the bee's knees. He thought he was the guy. This is the guy that's going to do it. But as time went on, it got more and more impressed to me that Conte thought he was doing us a favor by coming to manage us. We were below his normal standard, and he was at a loose end, and he said, "I'll give these guys that thing and charge them 15 million a year for doing it." So he got us in the Champions League first season. I'll never thank him. I'll always thank him for that. But the second half of last season, Dermot, was an absolute watershed for me. It was absolutely brutal. I think for everybody, culminating in that disaster of a match against AC Milan. And we never even tried to cross the halfway line, if you like, to beat them. So I thought it was absolutely awful. And that to me, that was the end of Conte after that match.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah. James Joyce says, big up to Tottenham till I die. Always enjoy listening in on your streams. Hope you all have a terrific weekend. Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say, and I'm glad you enjoyed them. We do put a lot of work into them. Philip cracks the whip, and I do the work, and he gets a get on with it. Get on with it. Philip is a bit like one of them pharaoh kings in the Egyptian times, right? He sits on the big throne, and he has all these minions working for him. So that's just.
And if you believe that, you believe anything.
Just putting it out there. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. How's Cleopatra?
She's got a headache.
Just watch out for that Moses guy. He may stab you in the back one day. Him and his first tablets. Yeah. That I went to. This is a funny story though. Very quickly, Philip. The first time I went to, I was doing my confirmation, and they were talking about Moses going up the mountain and getting the tablets. You know, the Ten Commandments. And there was a fella there, right? He really was, bless him. He was a bit thick. God love him. You know. He turned around to the priest. He said, "Father, I've got a question." He went, "Yeah, what's that?" He said, "So Moses technically had the first 2 tablets ever bought."
And then he was asking with a Samsung or Apple.
He actually did. and the priest said to him, "No, they were like the 10 Commandments," and he couldn't get it. He just kept saying, "But how did they charge his tablets back then? Now, no literature." Oh, the Lord Jesus! I'm sitting there thinking, "Look, can you just be quiet? You dug yourself a hole. Stop digging."
Oh my God!
Oh dear. What's your watch saying to you today, Philip?
It's telling me that the teacher Enoch Burke is to be thrown back into jail again for going back up to that school in Mullingar where he's been sacked. I've been following that school.
Leave Mullingar. That's my own neck of the woods. When
no, it's Multi-Farnham. It's near Mullingar, but
yeah. Well, I used to live in Catherinestown in Mullingar.
And
my school, right in Mullingar, and a word of a lie, very quickly, was an old church with a dividing door in the middle of it, and then a porter cabin. Then to learn Irish on a Friday, and the teacher walking up and down with the ruler in his hand. We had to read these little books, Philip, about that thick, right? And if you got it wrong, you got the ruler across the fingers. And I tell you one thing. I tell you, some kids in England back then thought they got away with it. Jesus, you learnt your timetables and your Irish. I'm telling you that now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway,
I heard you went to a very good school, Dermot. It was approved.
Yeah, it was approved. Yeah, I left school at 14, Philip, and worked. That's how good I was.
Only joking.
I know. Yeah. Well, no, I left school. I did leave school at 14 and went full-time work with my dad. Just no good at school. But that's where probably because I was dyslexic and everything, and my parents thought, well, you're not good, so go and work. And it didn't do me any harm. Do you know? It gave me a trade, and also made sure my dad installed ethics into me, to work ethics into me as well. Which I still have. I know. They will probably tell you otherwise around the house, but when it comes to my channel, I work hard at it, and yourself. You know yourself, Philip. You got to put the work in. But look, let's get on with this fella, the Egypt, the elephant in the room. I don't know what else you would call them. Now, the other day, Philip, we're all sitting there. I was flicking through Spurs News now, and an article come up that Eric Dyer went crying to Daniel Levy. "Please, sir, let me play." Now, Postecoglou won't pick me, and crying. Now, Philip, there's only one thing I want Levy to do: get rid of this Egypt. What do you think? I mean, it's ridiculous. Player power again.
I'm just thinking here. I mean, Eric Dyer would have been one of the ones that went crying to Levy over Mourinho, over Nuno, and over Conte, I'm sure, because he was one of the leadership group, which he's no longer one of. I'm just wondering, I know the only way you can get rid of Eric Dyer now is to tear up his contract. or let him stew around the ground for the next 9 months or 6 months, maybe till January. But I'm just wondering, are they waiting for Scott Munn to come in to do something? Scott Munn can come in and say, listen, it doesn't know Eric Dyer from Adam. And is he going to say, right, Eric, sit down there, boy, I want to have a chat with you? And I'd say we might see an end to the Eric Dyer saga quicker than you think once Scott Munn gets in.
Why won't Levy do it, though?
It's a bad smell around the club at the moment.
Yeah. Why won't Levy do it, though?
Levy's known Eric Dyer for 10 years. He's been a player for 10 years. There's an element of loyalty thrown into it, right? But whereas Scott Munn comes in, new broom, sweeps clean, doesn't give a shit, doesn't care about reputations. If he's an Aussie and he's a straight talking Aussie like Ange is, then Eric Dyer will not have a leg to stand on. Hopefully.
No. If you are enjoying this podcast, please hit the like button and the subscription button on THFC Till I Die and the Full Time Sports Network as well. And please, when this does go up on Spotify as well, please hit the like button on there. Pick up your memberships as well, only $2.99 and $4.99 to help me and Philip on our way. And then also, if you want to put in the super chat, it does help. And it does help us bring better content. Helps us get better stuff, doesn't it, Philip?
It does. Everything goes back into the channel. And,
a lot. We've got no big corporations behind us, have we, Philip? We've got no big sponsors behind us.
You sure haven't. Yeah, we sure haven't.
We sure haven't. A lot of it's done off the skin of the teeth every month.
Exactly.
I'll tell you that now.
And talking the skin of the teeth, the All Blacks just scored another try, so. They're leading 13-19, 13-9 now.
Oh, dear.
They missed the conversion.
Yeah, but look, for Eric Dyer, right? Eric Dyer should have went ages ago. No doubt whatsoever. I to this day, what do you think Mourinho, Conte, Nuno saw of him? Was it because he could speak different languages? Was that it? Because it certainly wasn't for his playing style.
Well, Eric Dyer, there was a player in there up to relatively recently. And maybe they all thought this is the way it's going to come back, But I just don't know, really. I mean, again, you want to be a fly on the wall inside the Tottenham boardroom to know the answers to that question. He's obviously one of the longest-serving players along with Hugo Lloris. So maybe that gives him some standing at the club, and they don't want to become too heavy on him. And that's where I'm saying Scott Munn can do the job, but he won't care, No skin off his nose.
Are you telling me, Philip, right? Are you sitting there and you're comfortable wherever you're sitting, right? And you're literally saying to me, there's a player in Eric Dyer.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Of course there is. Yeah, really, Anna, come on. Realistically, you don't play for England. You don't become, okay, you can lose form and play badly, but there's still a footballer in there. It's sometimes very slow to come out, and it hasn't come out in him for a couple of seasons. But there is a footballer in there. Yeah, there is. He'll do a job for some other team. Where do you see? But he'll not do it for Tottenham.
The quickest I saw him move was either throwing a strop in the dressing room or running up the stand to punch somebody. That's the quickest I ever saw.
Defending his brother. No, you're generalising there, Dermot. Eric Dyer did have some good games for Tottenham. He didn't survive 10 years being rubbish in every single match. No one would. It's just recently, the last couple of seasons, that his form has dropped off. And the fact that we brought in better defenders, the likes of Romero shows him up.
I'm being honest with you now. I've never rated Dyer. I've never rated him.
Even 10 years ago, when he was 9 years ago, when he came to the club.
No,
I
never
can't
rated
believe
him.
that. I thought he was a very good centre back, and he did do very well for us at times, though. He did. Now, you've got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, Philip, I'm being honest. I've never rated him. Never
Hang
have.
on. I'm wondering, is Eric Dyer related to Stephen Kenny by any matter of means?
No, he's not.
It sounds like he is. He's getting the same treatment.
Yeah, but look, if you had a Jan and Toby, you got two centre backs in there. He was a defensive midfielder who didn't do well at being a defensive midfielder. They then made him into a centre back when he wasn't a very good centre back. I've just never rated. Look, there's players come in, Philip, I don't rate. It's like who's it in the current squad or under Conte? I never rated Segerson.
Sessegnon?
Never rate. No, never did.
I don't rate him. But then again, I'm being ultra fair here. The lad has never had a good run on the team due to injury. You know, he's always been, just when he thinks he's going to do something, hamstring goes again. It happened again during the summer. So I don't rate him. No, I don't think we should have bought him. But then again, you know, let's give credit where it's due. Players do go through peaks and troughs. Good. Like, do you think he got into the England team by being crap? He didn't. He was good at that stage. You know, he's not good now, and he's embarrassing himself now the way he's acting up. He should have been like a man and taken the offer to go to Fulham or wherever it was during the summer. And good luck. He'd leave with everybody's good wishes and don't come back. But he didn't. Now we're going to have to get rid of him the hard way.
Yeah, I'm going to make a statement here now. Sanchez was better than Dyer.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm getting some stick in the chat. I'm not sticking up Eric Dyer at the moment. I'm sticking up from generally over his career. He hasn't always been this bad. And if he was always this bad, he'd have been playing for Scunthorpe United, not Tottenham Hotspur.
I get what you're saying, Philip. Look, I do understand where you're coming from. I think it's everyone's opinions are probably different. Everyone sees it through different eyes. I'm not saying Eric Dyer. I mean, look, for me, Sanchez is a better central defender than Eric Dyer is. Eric Dyer wasn't a very good defensive midfielder, but maybe Tottenham, maybe we've tried, and it hasn't just worked out, Philip. So what do you look? I can understand when you say there was a player in there. What do you put down Eric Dyer's bad form then? Do you put it down to managers?
Too long at the same club. That's it. Complacency.
Yeah, but you had players. Yeah, but you look at players like David Howe's spent most of his career at Tottenham.
Yeah, 25 years ago, Dermot. I'm not talking in the past. I'm talking now. Things are so different. No,
it's the same point though. He spent So you think he's been too long at Tottenham?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I guarantee you, Dermot. I remember back in the day. Not everybody thought David Howells. It's like John Pratt and various players down the years never ever got the fan base behind them because they were there too long. John Pratt was another one. David Howells, if I remember, wasn't that much of a regular. He was kind of a bit part player, played a good bit, but he wasn't completely always in the team, you know. So no, it's just he's there too long and he's complacent, and he should have gone 2 years ago.
Right. I look. I get your point but the point I get right. You look at Jan and Toby as our two main centre backs, who were two brilliant servants for other clubs, really, Philip, weren't they? To be fair,
yeah.
Do you know Jan and Toby? Do you think so? What makes you? I want to get this right. This question. So, can Mourinho and Conte and Nuno see something that we couldn't see? Do you know what I mean? Have I missed something? Well, I mean, have I missed something?
Listen, we all claim to be experts in football. We're not. We're fans. We're onlookers. People that are working with the club day in, day out have a much better idea of who's doing what, who's good, who's bad, who should be here, who shouldn't be here. And they're the ones that made the decision. And they made the decision, let him stay for a while. Let him stay for maybe longer than he should. I keep saying, he should have gone 2 years ago. He didn't, right? And that is down to maybe there's been so many different managers around the place that nobody wanted to say, well, Eric Dyer's here a long time, I'll get rid of him. And just come in now, taking one look at him and say, he's nothing to do with this squad. We've now got a decision made by the manager. He's not playing for us anymore, and that's it.
I just responded to you. Can you just let me know in the private chat, Philip, about the rugby question? We've got Carl Simpson. Dyer is still begging Levy to help get him a game. What an embarrassment! I know. Look, it isn't. But we've got Ellie saying, "Oh my God, Philip, come on, get real." I think that's a bit harsh, to be fair. Dyer has never been good for us. He's just trash. There's not a player there. I agree with Dermot. Now, can I just state?
Come on now. We're not. Listen, we have a rule on this channel. We don't call people names. And no matter how much you don't like a player, you do not call him trash in public. I'm sorry. I won't allow that. That's a horrible name to call anybody trash. I'm sorry. You know, I can call him inefficient. You can call him incompetent. You can call him, but trash is a word I just hate to see used. describe a player who's still on the Spurs playbook, on the Spurs payroll. Sorry, too much for me.
Do you feel, Philip, that look, we had the Poch era. Do you think Poch made things too easy for players at Tottenham? Do you know what I mean? We had that family.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He had a family of players around him. Certainly, yeah, he did. And the players loved him. You know, but it was the same players who really more or less signed his death warrant at Tottenham in that 2019 season after the Champions League. So I mean, the players, but they may have loved him, but they were still responsible. And I'm sure Dyer was one of them that went to Levy and said, "Listen, this isn't working out." And that's one of the reasons Poch got the push. You know, so they loved him, but it was a kind of a funny kind of a love, if you like, when they ended up getting him sacked.
Yeah, look, for me, look, Eric Dyer's. I think Eric Dyer's got a love-hate relationship. I think
he loves the club, and we hate him. That's basically what you're saying.
Basically. We've got Carl Simpson. I actually think the first couple of years when he was around with Jan and Toby, he was good, but we should have sold him when United wanted him. That's very true.
I mean, I'm not denying that. He should have gone long ago, but didn't, and he's still here. And that's what I'm saying. I think Scott Munn is the man to come in and sort this out.
Yeah,
and,
I just
make him a free agent.
Yeah, I just never liked Eric Dyer. I just never liked him as a player, Philip, and it's just a play never floated my. I think this is before all like the moon boots and all this funny things come out and the mistakes he's made. For me, he's never been one player that I thought, do you know what, I can depend on him. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you know? I know what you're getting at, though. I do understand. Ellie's saying that's always been his level. Scunthorpe would have been a great fit for a scale set. Maybe not. Dyer is a cart horse. Remember last season, Rashford scored, run Dyer. Yeah, that's true. Do you think he was responsible, Philip, for the sackings of Poch, Nuno, and Conte? Or do you think Conte was more responsible for his own dismissal?
Conte sacked himself. Conte sacked himself.
Yeah.
Okay, the players might have said something, but it's it's how would you say? I know he had problems with his family, friends dying, 4 of them dying in the 1 year, and gone off for the operation that he had and everything. But Conte was never ever invested in. He never invested in Tottenham. Yeah, it was a cash cow for him, and that's all it was.
Yeah, it was. It was a cash cow, and I do agree with you on that. Just very quickly on the last thing on the Dyer thing, which we were going to move on. I see your phone's talking to you again.
Yeah, it's Eric Dyer's mother on the phone.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. His Premiership footballer with over 30. I never knew he had 30 international caps, Philip.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
No. Not trash, just not what we need. I agree with that 100%. And I agree with you as well, Philip. Look, we may come on here and call players like Moonhead or Bambi on Ice or whatever.
That's a nickname. That's a nickname. That's not
calling somebody trash or calling somebody a different name. I think there's a line you don't cross. And I think
I certainly wouldn't anyway.
I know that, and I agree with you. We've got Across the Pond Sports Talk, big up. He says, Cockeral lads. Yeah.
France just scored another try, so they're leading now.
Yeah. We've got Djokovic is killing it in the tennis over in the United States.
I haven't been watching that at all, actually.
Yeah. Scotland killed it.
They were 2-0 up the last I heard. I don't know how they finished though.
Yeah, we've got Across the Pond. McGinn and MacTom, always good for Scotland. Yeah. He's also saying France 9, the Kiwis 13, but the France have
14, now 14-13 to France.
I have France look very quickly, Philip. Do they look
at
teams?
France is the better team. France is the better team.
Ireland, France final.
Coming in here now on the wing, so we'll see how he gets on with it. It's a tough one now. I don't know whether he get it or not. Yeah, he nailed it. So 16-13 to France.
Yeah, and we've got David Clark. I haven't seen you in a while, David. Where you been hiding in sunny? I bet he's been sunbathing in sunny Leicester. I reckon that's what he's been doing. He's been sunbathing in sunny Leicester. Dyer has had a good season playing DM. Dropping him into centre back position is when needed. It's since he actually played at centre back he's been found out. Just a very quick question, Philip, on all the players that have left, like a Dombele and all that. Do you think Poch started the culture of giving players bigger contracts? Do you think that's where it all started with some of these players?
I don't think it was Poch. I don't think it was Poch. I think
it was more Hitchin,
salary
wasn't it?
contracts are negotiated with the director of football or above. It wouldn't be the team manager that'd be doing that. Okay, he might make recommendations to the board that he should be getting such and such, but I wouldn't say it was Poch. I mean, the manager or the coach is enough to be doing without working out the finances for the club, you know. So I would say that he may have an input into it, but I wouldn't think it was a final say.
Carl says, I didn't realise how many Spurs players are captains of their countries. There is quite a lot.
Yeah, we've got Son and we've got Kane. Well, not Kane anymore, obviously, but who else have we got?
There, Philip. Slip of the tongue.
What's that?
Slip of the tongue there. I said it was a
Okay,
slip of the tongue there.
Well, he used to be. He used to be. So
Did you see the Audi thing? Do you remember I said he got a new car?
Yeah.
Did you read the article about the players and the cars?
No.
Right. They Audi own 8% of Bayern Munich. Right. They got shares in Bayern Munich. So any new players gets an Audi car.
Oh, very
but
good.
They've got to drive an Audi car to training. Right.
Okay.
If you don't buy an Audi, if you don't drive your Audi car to training that they give you, you get fined. Some player, seriously, some player turned up in a Mercedes car and he got fined a week's wages.
Oh, lovely. Well, that's what I was thinking. BMW used to be always sponsored by Munich because BMWs are made in Munich. You know, so it's kind of Audi on the territory.
Yeah, Audi now have. It took me a long time to get Audi. See, I'm used to calling it Audi. It's actually called Audi. So, do you know?
I'd always call them Audis.
It's Audi here in Wexford. We're very posh in Wexford.
You're posh down there. You're posh down there.
Yeah, that's true. We are. We're in the Monaco of Ireland. Philip's up in the where he lives.
I'm up in the Monto of Ireland.
Yeah. Where you come down to us and you see us sipping cocktails and going, and sunglasses up here. David said, I had a week in Burning Newquay.
All right.
Big up, David. Great. And Carl says, Perisic and Davis, two captains of the country. Ellie's apologising, so I apologise for calling him.
No, that's fine, Ellie. I'm sorry it's been a bit harsh.
That's my word for saying.
Well, thanks for that, Ellie. But I just don't like name calling. I don't think it's fair, when they're not here to defend themselves, But thanks. Thanks, Ellie.
That's my name for not calling him a good player. And then we've got Carl Simpson. Have you seen an Audi in Wexford? Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law works for Audi. Just let me double check that. Hang on. Yeah, he does. My brother-in-law works for Audi. He service manager for Audi in Wexford.
All right, very good.
So yeah, just go down there and just say Dermot sent you, and I'm sure he'll sort you out, Philip. He might go Dermot.
New Zealand are down to 13 men. If a man sent off on the yellow card as well, so it's getting interesting.
Now,
I don't know what happened, but no volume.
When I put this question in, Philip, right, first word you come out. What did you say to me when you saw this?
He's not dead, is he?
I know. I do come out with him. I do. Yeah. But look, he's no Carl Simpson. He's a fucker. He goes, Dermo's got contacts. Definitely don't get family rates. I'm telling you that now. Paratici, he's no longer at the club, Philip.
Technically,
he's there as an advisor, but as a director of football, he's not part of the company because of what's happened in the Juventus. What the team that's playing now is a team that he built, Philip. Is that a good legacy for him to leave Tottenham with?
I think it is. Yeah, I think he's done very well for us, and it's probably unfortunate that he got caught doing what he was caught doing in Juventus with his, although I don't think, I don't know whether he was the main protagonist. I think some of the other guys might have been more heavily with their hand in the till than he had, but he got caught, he got punished for it, and we paid the price. It's ironic that he's no longer with the club that he did the misdeed, and it's his next club that gets punished. But anyway, he has been partially freed, partially found not guilty, was able to come back and do some consultancy work for us. And I think some of the players he bought this summer, like most of the players he bought this summer, have got Paratici's signature written all over them.
But also, he was the man that brought Undergard and Gnome, and he was also the man that brought in Conte. So manager-wise,
nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No.
I still like we all did. We all thought Conte was the man. We all thought this is it. But
yeah, we did.
To be.
Yeah, do you know? For me, Philip, manager-wise, I mean, why would you? I mean, that was. I mean, can you imagine going back to that time, Philip? We're searching for a manager. How embarrassing it was. Do you remember?
Oh.
And when Nuno was announced, how underwhelmed did you feel? You just went, right.
Oh God. I think we were nearly down to putting an advertisement in the Exchange in Mart. Wanted manager for unnamed football club. Please reply the box number such and such. If we told you who it was, you wouldn't even apply. That's how bad it was.
Yeah. I mean, look then to how we now, Philip. We've really come a long way as a football club.
Oh, we have. Yeah, we have. And we're going to go further. I mean, last season was a bit of an eye opener, maybe a correction. It was kind of a wake up call. Would be the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
And we have now got a manager who, let's face it, now when Postecoglou's name was mentioned alongside the likes of Nagelsmann and whoever else we were supposed to be in for, a lot of players don't want him, or fans. Who's he? He's only been up in Celtic. So they win the league. I could manage Celtic to win the league. They're that good up there. So then a few people began to look into his record. I said, hang on a bit, this guy might not be too bad. We know that everywhere he's gone, he's done the business. And look what he's done with us in 2 months. He's literally with us 2 months last week. And look at the difference in the whole mentality of the club. And the smile on the players' faces, which was never there last season. So I think he's done a great job. And if Paratici was involved in that, that's made up for him bringing in the other two clowns.
I still can't believe you brought in Nuno. I still can't get over that. We're at that search for that manager, Philip. I think this should be made into a film. Nightmare on Spurs Street.
Nightmare on Tottenham High Road.
Yeah. We've got Carl says in here, appears to do better work as a consultant. Yeah, he does actually. Ellie saying there are so many players that Paratici had been so great. True. We've got David Clark. Comparison between Saka and Maddison since 2018. When Saka joined Arsenal, Maddison joined Leicester. Saka played 139 games with 33 goals, 27 assists. Maddison 167 games, 45 goals and 34 assists. Shows how great Maddison is. Look, Philip, firstly, we got him on a bargain. I know Leicester got relegated, but we still got him on a bargain.
Yeah.
And secondly, for me, Maddison's been the signing of the season. Him, I think, between himself and Postecoglou. And look, I'm going to say this now. And the sale of Kane has transformed our football club.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we all worried what was going to happen after Harry Kane. I think up to now we don't really have to worry. It's just what's the word I'm looking for? It's the day after the night before, if you like, you got a hangover and you think, oh God, this is going to be terrible. We're like a butterfly that's come out. And I don't think anybody expected Tottenham to be top of the league or second in the league after 4 matches. Now don't forget, we played 3 of those matches away from home. We've only had 1 game at home so far. And the other teams, Arsenal, the same number of points, have done the reverse kick. They had 3 matches at home. And as for Saka, well, I mean, I have to admit, Saka is a good player, right? But, the fact that he plays for Arsenal and he's English, he's getting a whole lot of, he's getting into the team ahead of Maddison. But I'll be interested to see now this weekend whether Maddison actually gets a game for England. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he did. and they leave Saka out. So, but
look,
as regard best move of the summer was Madison. When Arsenal paid 105 million for Rice, we got in for 40. No contest.
I look, for me, I think Saka's a good player, Philip. I know he plays for them down the road, but I do think he's a good player, and I think he proved that in Euro 21 when he played for England. He showed he is a very, very good player, and we showed respect when we played a pre-season game after that with all the abuse he got, and we gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah, but that would not have happened if Madison had missed the penalty, or didn't happen after Kane missed it. Absolutely not.
No,
it wasn't reciprocated.
And I'll give it credit where credit's due. Saka is a very good young player. So, do you know?
Oh yes, yeah, I'm not doubting that.
Did you hear what your mate said on Sky Sports last week?
Which mate's that?
Your mate Paul Merson. Your mate.
What's that? What did he come out with?
Your drinking body. Your drinking body. Yeah. I've seen you down the pub with him. Him and Simon Jordan having a crack.
Anyway, what did he say?
He said that Liverpool should sell. This is actually going on to our next topic about the Saudi Pro League. That Liverpool should sell Salah to the Saudi Pro League for 200 million.
Yeah.
And buy Saka of Arsenal for 150 million because he's going to be the next best thing. Look, I agree with that.
I'm surprised that Paul Merson is mentioning Saka leaving Arsenal. I would have thought that'd be the last person he'd be saying to leave Arsenal.
But do you think that would be a good move?
Salah's not worth 200 million. Saka's not worth 150. That's cracked.
Yeah, but we know how the transfer market is now, Philip, and we know that between Chelsea, Newcastle, Manchester City, and the Saudi Pro League, which their window has now closed now, thankfully.
We're all breathing a sigh of relief from Merseyside.
Yeah, but they did put in a world record transfer market for Salah. Now, if it doesn't go in this window,
offered the 200 million, did they? Did they ever actually offer?
I think they did. I heard they did.
I know they offered 150, but I don't know if they ever got 200.
They came back in again with 200 million.
Oh, anyway, that's Liverpool's decision. They've made it. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know.
But do you?
Salah, I wouldn't be happy.
Do you agree with Paul Merson that Saka could do well for Liverpool?
Don't know.
Do you think? No, but I'm just saying it as forget. Just take off your Tottenham hat and put on your football fan hat.
Yeah.
Do you think that you look at Liverpool, right, and you look at Manchester United, we're going to go into their troubles in a minute as well. And some of the stuff you sent me on that, Philip, is mind-boggling. But do you think the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea and Newcastle, I think, will they ever be able to match the might of Manchester City? Is this? Do you know what I mean? Or do you know what I mean? Will they ever match them, or do you think it's everything like as well as I do? Circles. Everything just goes in circles. Football goes in circles.
Well, unless Etihad Airlines go bust, I think Manchester City are there for the duration. They're going to be dominating football for the foreseeable future. Newcastle less so, because they haven't been just as flash with the money as City have. I'm surprised at that. I thought they would be. But you mentioned, just to go back to Saka there, would he do a good job for Liverpool? He'd probably do a job for any decent team, really, But because he's an Arsenal player, I don't really give a toss what he does.
No.
Whether he'd replace Salah, probably, yeah. They both play out on the right or play out on the wing. Yeah, probably would be a good fit. And, maybe he would. But as I said, it's irrelevant now. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do you feel, very quickly on this subject, Philip, which I didn't plan into the show, but I think is a good one to go into. Do you feel that the transfer market itself will burst, will go bang? Do you know, like an economy, if a certain economy gets overheated and then the country goes into recession, do you think the same thing can happen?
It could, yeah. Because I tell you, the money that's been bandied around now for players is just ridiculous. And we all know that. I mean, it's players that are worth 15 million are getting sold for 25 and 30 million. And I saw a picture, I think today, that the money that was spent in the transfer window this summer, something like, I think it was 6 billion.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this earlier. Yeah.
But the agent's fee came to over 600 million. Now, there's not that many agents about. So some agents have made a very nice little killing on the transfer dealings of this summer. Now, that's all changing on the 1st of October. But if you work out 6 billion, 600,000, that's about 10%, 600 million. So
I read. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
The rates they're going to be getting in October have to be capped at 12%. So they might not lose too much. I suppose that's an average figure. But like some of the figures you hear for transfers, like an agent getting 5 and 6 million because he transferred the player. It's unreal. It's unbelievable.
I read somewhere as well, Philip, that the Saudi Pro League have spent this summer more than the Premier League clubs have done in 3 seasons.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really. I know it certainly can't be far off that. I mean, the amount of money that they spent is ridiculous, you know?
It really is, Philip. If you are enjoying this podcast, please hit the like button and subscription button. Of course, on us here at THFC Till I Die, and of course, our partner channel, Full Time Sports Network as well, where you can find everything from football to rugby. I think they're doing Formula One as well, which we will be covering on our sister channel, THFC F1 Till I Die. If I can actually just pin Philip down to a race and just get him to watch a Grand Prix. We'll do the Vegas one, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I know what you were saying. Yeah, I know what you were saying to me. We may do Singapore, actually, which is a 1 o'clock race. We may do Singapore under the lights, but who knows? We've got Carl saying here, across the pond says, Van der Ven, I say to get that defensive sorted along with Destiny. Yeah, for definite. Carl Simpson, the shackles have been taken
off the attack now. Kane has gone. Dermot's screen's gone again. Also, never liked anything on social media about Spurs start of the season. He could easily Lamella does bloody Skechers. Yeah, he's wearing these Sketcher boots, isn't he?
Yeah, sorry about that.
You see, another thing too, if Harry Kane was playing at the minute, he'd drop deep and probably keep bumping into James Maddison because the two of them come from the same position. You know, so maybe it shows that we were under a bit of a spell of Harry Kane. The other players couldn't really express themselves. He was the main man. Now they're doing it.
Yeah, it does. I have said that. We did say that. Yeah, big up Super Tottenham. It says big up, guys. Big up Super Tottenham. Saka is overhyped. Is real. Says Carl. Super Tottenham say Saka is a very good player, even though he plays for the Arsenal. He's still a very good player. Saka is a winger. Maddison isn't. 2 different positions.
England are good at playing players out of position, so maybe that would solve that one.
I'm saying nothing.
I'll say he is good. You know.
Yeah. I'm saying nothing. Just Kenny out. If
here we go again.
I promise I behave myself on Sunday, Philip. I promise.
You better. I'm going to sit somewhere else.
Oh dear. Yeah. That's if I make it up to where we're walking to be fair.
That's another day's work.
Yeah, that is another. Across the Pond Sports says, if Salah is over 200 million, then Saka is worth 200 million defo.
I don't think anybody's worth 200 million.
I don't think so. How
good they are.
Ellie says Saka to Liverpool, maybe that's inevitable, especially if Woolwich don't win any trophies this season.
Well, it depends if Salah stays. If Salah stays, then they won't be going anywhere, you know.
Across the pond, world class and just turned 22. He is a talent, Philip Saka. You can't deny that.
It's just he can't help it. He's playing for the wrong team.
No,
that's it.
I watched that documentary, All or Nothing. We all watched it laughing, especially when they were playing You Never Walk Alone, you know, and Lego Head doing what he was doing. But they did an interview with Saka, and I found him a very humble, down-to-earth young man.
Yeah.
Who just kept, a bit like Sterling, who plays for Chelsea. They come with this reputation, but when you really strip away that, they're very nice young men who look after their parents, who look after their family, and not like a John Terry or players like that. And do you think the generation coming in now, Philip, has learnt from the mistakes from the previous generations, the likes of a Paul Merson and a John Terry and players like that?
I doubt it. I'd say for every Saka you've got some impressionable young lad who's surrounded by hangers-on. like Dele Alli got caught up with, and they need very careful guidance because the people of that age, 21, 22, earning 200 grand a week, 100 grand a week, very easy for that money to go to their heads. Saka is probably sensible, but for every sensible one, they probably find there's 2 or 3 that aren't. So I think there'll always be a problem with money in young players.
Yeah, there will be. Across the Pond Sports Talk says agents need to get cut out. Yeah, they do.
They will be. They're going to be curtailed, if anything. Maybe not cut out, but curtailed.
There needs to be more trade players for players type thing like North America, as these agents have gotten the way to activity and greedy. And he also says no way the Prem spent still way more than the Saudi League.
Yeah,
I was saying that. Yeah, if you can bring up the figure, I think what was it, 2-point-something billion they spent this summer. Yeah, I would love to. I read it somewhere. I think Simon Jordan said it. And Across the Pond says NFL. I do for FTSN on Sunday. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've just got into NFL, and I really enjoyed it last season. So I'm looking forward to the season. It's already kicked off, so I definitely give that a watch. Across the Pond Sports Talk. And listen, get in touch. We'll get you one for a podcast or a debate show.
Dermot, I have it here. The sports world governing body said that clubs from the Saudi Pro League have spent US dollars 875 million on new players in the period June the 1st to September the 1st. And still well behind the Premier League's 1.98 billion.
Yeah.
Just ahead of France's 859 million. So Premier League is still ahead.
Yeah. Well, that said, I heard that in Talk Sport the other day, and I
really must have got the figures mixed up, you know.
Yeah, I did.
Still the Premier League. I mean, Chelsea are responsible for most of that.
Yeah,
let's face it.
They've spent $1 billion. They've spent $1 billion.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We got Across the Pond. Please get over to his Full-Time Sport Network on Sunday for the NFL. I'm sure Philip will be watching that. Do you watch a bit of NFL, Philip?
I watch a bit of it, yeah. It's
you
a bit too
understand
slow
it?
Sometimes.
I don't. I'm still learning it. Baseball. That is one sport I don't get. It's rounders.
I used to know the rules of baseball. I've forgotten them. I used to know them.
We had a PE teacher from America, and she used to do baseball. When I was a kid at school. We've got Carl Simpson. Everyone thought they had to always pass the cane. Now they can go for it. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Point you made, Philip. Dermot is getting arrested to try to fight with Mr. Kenny. Now, Philip, come on. You can have your say in it. Come on. I've joked you enough with the things you know. So go on. The gate is open for you now, sir.
Well, all I'm going to say, you're lucky enough you're sitting far enough away from. You're actually on the same side as the manager's bench, but I don't think you'd be able to get too close to him, Dermot. Now, unless after the match, and well, just a reminder, I'm going straight home. I'm not going down to the police station to bail you out.
You can ring Derville to tell her where I am, by the way, if you can do that for me.
Pierce Street Garda Station.
He says, he said, I'm going to start the month working my way up. He says, I would love the Irish game, Gaelic football. I wish I grew up there and played it. Look, I played Gaelic football as a kid. I know you did as well, Philip, and probably hurling as well.
No, I never did hurling. Man. It's brilliant game. Two brilliant sports.
It's something we've talked about doing, isn't it, on this channel as well, doing the odd Gaelic football watch along.
So it's over now till January, though. There's no more till January.
So there you go. We might do something. Mayo versus Dublin again. Across the Pond says 22-13 to France now.
Yeah, France are going to win this. New Zealand have been very poor in the second half.
See, I said the Prem spends way more. Always Saudis building for that 2025 World Club Cup. We will see what happens after that. Yeah, that's very true. Across the Pond said Red Zone Sunday is awesome. I don't know what Red Zone is, but I don't know. I heard Madison likes to take married women on, like Terry.
I don't know about that.
Maybe it's just the rumor mills. So, yeah, I think so. And he says, agree, Rash, Saka, Sterling, good lads. Yeah, Rashford as well. Um, um, Look, for me, Rashford did an awful lot, Philip, during the pandemic for the young kids, for the schools as well. Do you think?
Oh, he did a great job. Great job.
Yeah. Do you think? Do you think players like this should be given more credit in the media to sort of outlay the players that give them the bad reputations?
Well, let's face it. Some of the media would probably run a story like Rashford's on
Mm,
page 37 at the bottom. But if he was caught at 2 a.m. in a nightclub under the weather, it'd be on the back page and a big picture of it.
yeah.
You know, news like that, while it's good to hear, doesn't sell
Mhm.
newspapers. They only want the scandal. But Rashford did a great job, I have to say. Brilliant job.
Yeah. Would you like him at Tottenham?
I would take him at Tottenham, yeah. I would think
Yeah,
Rashford was there.
I would.
Excellent.
But big up to Dan Davenport. It says New Zealand looked very vulnerable.
They do actually. I'm amazed how
Yeah.
easily France have got through them here.
And big up, he says, and he also says, big up to Dermot and Phil. We've got across the pond sports talk, Red Zone. It's all the NFL games at once, all the touchdowns, like Go Rush for the Premier League, all updates and scores. I have to give that a watch. Carl Simpson said, Red Zone is where you go, where they go to all out. You read that one out, Philip. I can't get out. Get my
Red
teeth
Zone
around
is where
that
they
one.
go all over the NFL game, so you just get key highlights of every game. Yeah, it's a bit like match of the day for NFL, you know.
Yeah. Now, Philip, very quickly. Now, we did talk a bit about the Saudi League, and we just want to quickly go on to. We've got two more topics. A topic and this one. Then we're going to finish on the Man United news you sent me, Philip, which I think is worth spending 10 minutes if you've got 10 minutes to spare to talk about it. If not for the money, Philip, why are players going to Saudi? Now, this is off an article in The Athletic that Jordan Henderson said he didn't go there for the money. Now, that's a bit like saying, I'm not going into the pub, but I'm not going to drink.
I'm going to drink 13 pints of Heineken, but it's not for the beer.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that says they didn't go to Saudi for anything other than the money is lying. Because what is there out there? You've got a pretty repressive regime out there that up to recently didn't even allow women to drive cars. You know, where executed 81 people in public in March for various offences, including shoplifting. So you know, it's a repressive state, and you know, I always struck footballers have been a bit bohemian. You know, like going out and having a good laugh with the boys and getting drunk and you know having a party. That's not going to happen out there. It just doesn't happen. And okay, the weather's nice, fair enough. I'm sure they're lovely apartments to live in, nice cars to drive. But to say you're not going out there for anything but the money, forget about it. It's money, money talks, and they've bit the bullet. Like there's players gone out there that showed no ambition at all. They could have stayed, played for Champions League sides, played for good teams. They've gone. The players I don't mind going are the 35 and 36-year-olds who are nearly at the end of their career and can make a fair few bob. But players in their 20s, forget it, you know.
Yeah, I just think it's a ridiculous. Look, John Terry could be going over there getting his first management job in Saudi Arabia. Philip, Steven Gerrard's over there. Jota, who's now wants to get out of the place.
Jota's been kicked out. John Terry might be lucky now if he doesn't come to the, how will I put it, to the attention of the authorities quite quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Apparently France are smashing New Zealand, says Carl Simpson.
Another try for France.
What's the score now?
Double score, 27-13.
They
bought a terrible bounce for the New Zealand guy, but they're absolutely hammering them.
It will be a win for France, says Dan Davenport. What a huge shock that will be for any Kiwi fan. And he says France had just scored a try. They are going for the money, no other reason. Yeah, you would have to be. I know it's across the pond. So on FTS as well, we watch Red Zone, and all are welcome. Yeah, I know. But look, I just want to say, Philip, look, players will go where the money go. It's always been in football, hasn't it? Players will always follow the money.
Yeah, but usually in their own country or in Europe.
Yeah, but do you remember all the European players start coming over to the Premier League? They started leaving their own leagues, going over to the Premier League. Do you think there could be a thing of where everyone's going to leave the Premier League to go to the Saudi League? Can you see that
I hope
happening?
not. I hope not. I hope not, because let's face it. I mean, no matter say now, I don't know how many teams there are in the Saudi League. Say there's 20 teams, right?
Mm.
And there's 20 players on each squad. That's 400 players, 500 players, 25 on each squad. And there's maybe 60 players gone from Europe, right? It still leaves 440 average players who probably wouldn't even make this grade over here. So the standard of football, regardless of how many go at the moment, is not going to be good enough for me. If another 200 go from Europe, then maybe it will get better. But I hate calling it, but I'm going to call it a farmers' league. Because playing in internal competitions, they've no European football to look forward to, and hopefully never will. But I think that's the next ambition, is to get into the Champions League.
I think that will happen, Philip. And look, that's that. As I said, we could go on and on about this subject, but I think it's a subject where it deserves its own show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And with pretty research. Full time here, France 29, New Zealand 13. The host nation kick off their World Cup campaign with a big win and a big scoreline as well.
It's a huge defeat. It's a huge defeat for France or for New Zealand.
That has really shocked me, because I thought New Zealand would be there and thereabouts, Philip. But I tell you,
we went out to New Zealand and beat them handily. So you know, we can do it.
Yeah, I tell you what, I might just keep that score up there just for a little while, Philip, because now. Manchester United. Now, we don't talk a lot about other clubs on here, Philip. Well, we do. Well, we sort of banter, but
I think we should say, what we're hearing, this is unconfirmed, but we believe there may be an element of truth to it.
Yeah, this is on. Oh, look, Colm is back of his holiday tomorrow, so I'll probably have catch up with Colm probably tomorrow or before Monday. So Newsbeat will be back on Monday at 4:00. Me and Philip, of course. The return of Newsbeat. It's just at the time it's having a bit of a rejig, Newsbeat. So after the transfer window, so we are going to come back with a new version of Newsbeat. But anyway, let's go through some of the things you've got there, Philip. Look, I do the top 4, and then if you want to do the rest, then Philip, we'll do. Now, this is in the last 3 years of Manchester United. 3 women have now accused Anthony of assault. One set to do a TV interview on it. Sancho's statement saying he's been the scapegoat. The whole Greenwood situation and how lawfully Richard Arnold handled it. Then do you want to take the next lot here, Philip?
Yeah, the next bit's about the takeover. It's it says the takeover has been dragged on, creating job uncertainties for employees, and now staff turning on the Glazers and leaking stories. And the next one is Ronaldo, who will be no fan of United for the way he was treated at the end, has gone on Piers Morgan's show, absolutely disrespecting Eric Ten Hag, and then it goes on to say how badly the club is run and the owners are not doing a good job.
And it just goes on.
It goes on. But Eric Bailly comes out and says the club favour British players. Bailly likes comments slamming Maguire and teammates.
Yeah.
So, you take the next one.
It goes on, Philip. Like Ragnick calls out club, basically half the squad have the wrong attitude and the board have no clue. Said we need to he said we need open heart surgery. We've got Rojo calls out Maguire and has a big bust up with Ollie for playing Maguire over him. Multiple dressing room and team leaks. Marshall interview slamming Ollie and Jose. What else? Luke Shaw come out and admitted a lot of Man United players weren't 100% committed to the 21-22 season. And then the last bit here, Philip, this for me, look, no other club has had this much drama. A lot of these is a result of the Glazers running the club like a circus, constantly keeping unhappy players so they don't have to spend money. Now, the last bit, Philip, where have you heard that before? Just the last bit.
Can't see you on the play. Let me see. Is your club in London called Tottenham?
Yeah, them. Yeah.
I've heard of this. I think I've heard of them.
So the question I'm going to ask, Philip, and please get involved in the chat as well. This is the last bit of the podcast tonight. We're going to end off on this. How would you react if Spurs were run by the Glazers?
I've come up with a phrase for this one, Dermot.
Yeah.
Come back, Daniel Levy. All is forgiven.
Look, we know. Look, I'm going to put it out here, Philip. We know there's been problems between Levy and certain section of the supporters, Tottenham
Yeah,
fan.
and quite rightly so.
Quite rightly so. Let's not say that we're going to give Levy a pass, because most of it, Philip,
No way.
is richly
No way.
deserved. But there is a but. If we were run like the Glazers, how would we feel?
I know, like for those, like the Glazers bought United with leverage money. They bought it with borrowed money. Didn't buy it with their own money. But
No.
they're taking out a huge dividend every year out of the club, and it's the greatest it's the greatest ATM machine in history. Is the Man United
Yeah.
ATM with Glazers, and now that they seem to be putting the market thing on the market. No, sorry, the sale up for on hold now because they want 10 billion for the club. You know, because they think that they'll get it. And I'd hate to be a Man United fan at the moment, to be honest with you, because I think it's very unfair. We might laugh and joke about the United fans, but I know we've had a lot to put up with Levy. I think they've had an awful lot more to put up with Glazers. And I really think that it's time for the Glazers to take a reality check and sell the club and get it back into the hands of people that will do something with it.
Now, we were told
for money every 5 minutes.
Yeah, we were told, Philip, within 3 seasons, United could go bankrupt.
Well, allegedly. Now, again, this is don't tell me this is confirmed.
No.
The word that we heard was the Manchester United line of credit has been stopped by the banks until such time as the Glazers sell the club, because they're losing, I think it's 3 million a week. So, that's.
Do you know what do you think the likes of? I know poor Bobby Charlton isn't well at the moment. He's got the same thing I think Jack had.
Yeah.
But how would you feel the likes of him, Alex Ferguson, the Edwards family, older players like Roy Keane and Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister, Ryan Giggs, players that have won stuff for United, that have been there, done it. I tell you one thing, Gary Neville is not near as against the Glazers as he makes out to be, by the way.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't have any input on that bit of it now. But one thing I will say, of all those players that you mentioned there, if I was next time Roy Keane goes to a Man United game, I'd make sure they sit him far away as they could from the Glazers, because he might return the headbutt that he got in Arsenal the other day. Because I think Roy Keane would be disgusted. Bobby Charlton disgusted. Alex Ferguson, I'm sure, is apoplectic over the whole thing. I mean, if you look at Man United's ground, now I've never been in Old Trafford, I have to say, but
been in it once.
It needs an awful lot of work done on it, and nothing can be done under the present owners. Old Trafford used to be the bastion, the flagship stadium in the whole of the Premiership. Now it's not by any means. I know it holds 75,000, fair enough, but those 75,000 don't have anywhere near the comfort that our fans have at the Tottenham Stadium. Nowhere near it,
Carl Simpson says we are ready for the takeover. I think we are. And then Super Tottenham. So I did bring up Ed M's comment. I won't bring it up again, but I do understand. But we don't know if that's true or not. But look, we'll take it there. And the last comment of the show: the Glazers have put Man United in debt when they can afford to pay it off easily. Don't trust them. Philip, I'm going to end on this last question. If Levy gets it right with Scott Munn and Postecoglou, and we win trophies, will you then be on the thing of all is forgiven, or do you think it's too much? It's gone under the bridge. Too much water's gone.
I think it's irretrievable. I think regardless of how Spurs do this season, new ownership is needed. Fresh ideas needed, fresh capital injected into the club to bring better players to the club. No, I mean, Daniel Levy's done some very good things. We all admit that, the club, stadium, the training ground, other things like that, keeping the club on a good financial footing. But the things he's done wrong, penny pinching over transfers, appointing the wrong managers, getting things having a disastrous relationship with a lot of the fans. I think he's 21 years, 22 years at the club. It's time to go, and new blood, please.
Just last comment here, Philip. If Alex Ferguson, it was Alex Ferguson who got the Glazers appointed.
Again, how is he to know that it was going to turn out?
Yeah. Well, Philip, that's the end of the Cockeral Clock podcast. I've enjoyed it. It's been spicy. It's been fun. Also, it was the first time we've actually have broadcast jointly on our new partner channel, the Full-Time Sports Network. Philip, do you want to say anything to them?
Welcome to the THFC Till I Die family, lads. It's good to have you, and it's great to be able to spread our wings a little bit further and just hit to a long and fruitful partnership.
Yep. And tomorrow, Philip, we've got a new show starting tomorrow, which is going to be unusual for us. But do you want to tell people 2:15 what they can find?
We'll be looking at Ireland playing the mighty Romania in the Rugby World Cup.
So we're going to do a watch along to that.
And hopefully doing better than New Zealand did tonight, because that's a bit of a shock. And that'll be good fun.
Yeah, so we'll come on.
Fan, don't ask me. I know the rules, but I don't understand this rolling off your feet and this sort of stuff. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it.
Yeah. It is the first one, so we will be doing that. Philip, do you want to close off the podcast first?
Yeah, well, thanks everybody for tuning in to the first one. Hopefully, it's the first one of many with Full-Time Sports Network. And as always, it's funny. I hate weekends where we're coming up to Saturday morning and Sunday and no Spurs game. I want me Tottenham back. I want Spurs to be playing Sheffield United tomorrow, not next week. I can't wait a week.
I know I said I wouldn't do it, Philip, but I can't do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. Mug shots are us. If you want to look like Donald Trump, please get down to you. I mean, that just frightens me.
You look like a New Zealand fan.
That is how every New Zealand fan is this evening. Looking absolutely terrified.
Probably 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning over New Zealand now, but I bet you a bad start to their weekend, I'll tell you.
And this would be all the Irish fans in the morning.
No, that'll be Sunday morning after the match tomorrow.
Look, please, have I? Hang on. I've put some other music on. I didn't mean to. Sorry. Look, it's a bit of fun we're having this channel. We don't take ourselves too seriously, do we, Philip? Sometimes we do like a laugh and we do like a joke. So if we have offended our American friend,
we're not really sorry.
You said that, not me.
We are, yeah. We're very sorry.
Yeah. We've got Paxton Road is whatever. You lads seem more my style. Paxton Road's good. And he says, and wow, even Hotspurs who would think it? And he said he's making a load of money off that. And he says, I've got Ireland and Wales winning tomorrow, I think. We've got Joseph Trump would be at Iowa football game. I'm attending tomorrow. Pray for me. No, I'll get all the jokes.
He's not playing for Iowa, is he?
Yeah. If you can get a selfie with him and send it in to us and the thing. But yeah, that mug shot, Philip.
The problem is, if his team loses tomorrow, he probably won't accept the result and say it was all fixed.
Can I just say that mug shot, Philip, is such a godsend.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
But on that bombshell, do you want to do Fred? Do you want to do Fred quickly? We always do Fred.
This is every New Zealander just at this moment in time.
Yeah. On that banging bombshell, we will see you tomorrow at 2:15. I'm back here for the first rugby watch along me and Philip have ever done. So watch us falling us completely on our face. As we make a complete cock and balls of everything. But on that bombshell, thank you all for watching. Take care. God bless you. Look after yourselves. Love your family. Whatever you do, come on, you Spurs. In Big Andrew we trust.
Yep.